Hello, Coach. Welcome to the Underdog Hoops podcast. You're going to see a great interview here. I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you haven't, go check out Underdog Hoops University, where you can get a 14-day free trial. Helps you kind of get your coaching repertoire in check. And it is a 14-day free trial. I hope you guys go check it out.
Welcome to Underdog Hoops, presented by great coaches in our basketball community. From the Underdog Hoops studio in Rancho Cucamonga, California, here is your host, Sam Farrar.
All right, Coach. Can you kind of share a little bit about your journey as a basketball coach?
Yeah, so I've really only started a couple years ago. This will be my fourth season, and I coach middle school basketball right now. Growing up, though, I watched a lot of basketball. I actually coached a rec league team when I was in high school with some of my friends. But I've mainly been doing this middle school and some AAU for the past couple of years.
Okay. What inspired you to kind of pursue your basketball career, coaching career?
Like I said, I played basketball pretty much all the time growing up. It was my favorite sport. I really wanted to be good at it, and then I didn't grow to be tall, so I was like, oh, maybe I'll be able to coach one day. And now that I've been growing up some more and understanding what goes into it, I think I really want to be able to be a coach one day and just that have that love of the game that I still have to be able to play, but to channel it into being a coach.
Okay. Um, who was your biggest influence early on? Like, yeah, who was your biggest influence?
Well, a couple of my favorite coaches. We are a Tennessee fan, so I really like Bruce Pearl. Also, was kind of a Florida fan, which doesn't make any sense, but I like Billy Donovan a lot.
Yeah.
Those are two guys I always liked watching when I was young. Now that I've gotten a little bit older, I really like Jay Wright. What he did at Villanova was great. I really like Scott Drew at Baylor. Being able to build a program from basically nothing like he did, I think is really cool. And maybe someday I could do something like that. There's also, there's a lot of great coaches in college basketball right now. Maybe on the NBA side of things, I like Joe Mazzulla. He's young and he kind of adapted his new coaching philosophy to where, it's basically just to check up threes, but it's get as many shots up as possible, which I think is a good way to do it. So I guess those would be a couple that
Okay.
influenced me.
All right. Now we're gonna kind of move on to philosophy and culture. So how would you describe your overall coaching philosophy?
So I feel like my philosophy for basketball would be, try to get everybody involved, whether that be your point guard distributing or having really good ball movement or setting screens and rolls. For my coaching experience, since I'm only doing middle school, no middle schooler knows how to guard a pick and roll. So I use that a lot. And I think that really just helps get people involved. I really don't like having people just sit in corners and waste their time just by doing nothing. I really like to get people involved in the offense, whether that be, the pick and roll, like I said. I will also try to do everybody's got to touch the ball before we even try to score, usually, unless I need to call a specific play or it's like a late game or we need a shot. And then I'll usually just give it to like one person. But I try to make sure everybody touches the ball before we try to look to score, just so that they know that being they're being used and that they're not just out there to do nothing. And I think that helps a little bit. I think that helps the kids and me too, because they don't feel like they're just doing nothing. I can get my bench players in pretty easily since when they get in the game, they actually do stuff. And again, not just sit in a corner or something.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I try to use my bench as much as I can because I think having a good bench is one of the best things you can do for a basketball coach. A lot of times I'll do kind of some 5 out, 5 in subs just because usually I have a lot of kids and my bench is usually pretty decent. For this upcoming year, I will be most likely doing that too because I have a lot of guys that I returned from last year.
Okay.
So, I mean, as long as I can get the motion of the offense to where I'm not having to yell at the kids for standing there, then that's my goal, pretty much.
A lot of the problem in high school too is because I'm in high school, I coach like a high school level team,
Yeah.
and it's the freshmen that come in are very like they just want to stand there and they don't know what to do yet. So that's good that you're kind of teaching them how to move even without the ball.
That's a big point for me too.
That's very important. They got to know what to do when they don't have the ball, how to cut, where to cut. It's not just like, hey, we're going to be moving the ball around, but hey, we just need to reverse the ball, get some action. If it's not there, we continue to reverse the ball, but making proper good cuts, that's really important to teach as a part of the philosophy for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I run a lot of ball screens in my offense, so I have kids that don't know how to set a screen, and yeah, it really can be difficult for them to understand that. So I go over it a lot, and I try to develop that skill, especially when they're like a freshman.
I feel like people don't stress kind of those basics enough anymore, which I don't really know why, but I mean, basketball's simple. It's been the same for a while. You do those basics right, you'll be a pretty good basketball player. So
yeah, of course. So what are your core values and how do you instill them into your program or your team?
well, I'd first say that, you're part of a team. You should play as a team. There's not one person, there's not 2 people, there's not 3 people. There's all 10 to 12 guys, however many you have. They're a part of the team. If someone does something wrong, then it's not necessarily my job to go tell the person what they did wrong. Obviously, I will help you with that, but as like the leader of the team, they should be able to talk to somebody. People should be able to, the kids should be able to ask each other questions if they have questions. If they can't answer the questions, then they can come to me. But I feel really being a part of a team is something that these kids need, and that's one of my strong values that I tell them. Other things would be, it's basketball. It's a fun game, but most importantly, you got to be respectful. If you're not respectful, then there's no place for you in sports, in my opinion. I think you got to be able to, if someone fouls you and you don't get the foul call and then you start complaining to the refs, I don't like that. If you start yelling at your teammates again, I don't like that. So just be respectful to your peers, be respectful for your coaches, be respectful to the refs. I feel like in today's game of basketball, refs get a lot of disrespect. I know they're not perfect, but at the end of the day, they're trying to do their job to the best that they can. So, if a player gets a foul call and they don't like it, it's my job to go talk to the ref, not the players. That's what I always tell my kids. Let me go talk to the refs instead of you, because if I get a technical, it's okay. You're 12 years old. You don't need to be getting into fights with refs right now. So
Yeah,
I'd say those are 2 big things: the team aspect and the respect aspect for me.
Absolutely. So like for me, it's you got to give everyone respect. Everyone, if they've made the team, deserves a little bit of respect uh, as a part of this team. Now, when I get into um, when refs, we talk about refs. Hey, they're going to be human. They're going to be bad. Even at the high school level, they're terrible. They won't see what you see, and honestly, I won't see what they see. Um, so calling them blind won't help.
Yeah.
But if you can ask them in the form of a question, that's a good way to
That's a good tactic.
ask.
I do that.
That's a good way to ask. Tell your players, hey, just ask them what you saw, or ask them what. Then that gives a little trust to in a relationship between the ref and the player. It might just be my captain. Sometimes I do that where I say, hey, go talk to him, go see what he saw in that play. It might be something as simple as that. Sometimes I say, hey, let me do it. Let me go talk to him. But most of the time, um, most of the time it is me talking to him. So that's kind of just how I roll with things. But a
Yeah.
lot of times it's just however it plays out is kind of, I'm not trying to get any technicals. I did when I was younger.
I've only
Yeah.
gotten one, so
Yeah. I've gotten like 4, but if I get 2 in a game, then I have to go to the principal's office. So I don't want to do that.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
so speaking on a little bit more on the ref kind of thing, I had a player last year. The game it was kind of an easy game for us, but one of my starters fouled like 3 times within the first quarter, and he got really upset at the ref. And I told him that one, you're fouling him, so you can't complain to the ref that you're not fouling him. Two, the more you complain to the ref, the more fouls he's going to call on our team. And he did end up calling more fouls on our team. And he was very close to calling a couple of technicals on the guy because he was yelling and screaming at him during the game. I was like, you ever do that again, then you won't be playing, and I don't care how good you are. So
exactly.
you got to have that respect for the people in stripes.
Yep. Um, kind of another thing on the refs, as you kind of see, it's for me, I've gotten probably 4 texts, and 3 of them have been by the same guy.
Yeah, some
So
people hold grudges.
some people hold grudges. So I know whenever I get him that I have to talk to him and not like in a form of a question all the time.
Yeah,
And I have to tell my kids, do not say anything to him. Like, let me do the talking. At least I'll be a less chance to get a technical. So
yeah,
we talk about that before the game. Whenever I see him enter the gym, I'm like, hey guys, this guy's teed me up like 3 times in my career. Now, for you guys just need to stay calm. If he calls something bad, hey, let me handle it, and I will try to ask in a form of a question, and we'll see how that goes.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
all right. So, how do you build and maintain your team culture throughout the season?
Um, well, it's important to me to have fun. I love basketball, and I know these kids love basketball. If they're not having fun, then I usually try to throw something fun in there, like, well, fun for a purpose. I'm not just trying to
Yeah,
make them bad at basketball, but if we have a couple weeks where we just games after games, then I'll probably try to have a fun practice. That way, they can come in and know that we don't have to work today. We can just kind of chill. I mean, we'll still get things done, but we'll have hour, 30 minutes of fun. And I just think that'll help build a little team chemistry too. And I think that'll go into them kind of, I guess, I don't know if it's respect because I'm so young and they're still kind of young. So they kind of see me as like an older brother, I guess.
yeah,
Um, but I would say that having that kind of younger perspective with them, I can talk to them about things that they might not be able to talk to an older coach about. So I think the kids like that aspect, I guess. And
Oh yeah,
I think it helps me just to be able to, like kind of going back to that arguing with the refs thing. Like if that did happen, then I can kind of, talk them down and be in their face a little bit about it. Whereas they could talk to me about it. Whereas if you're just kind of yelling at them, maybe as an older coach would do, then they wouldn't quite get the lesson that they needed to learn. And I think that also goes back with the respect thing. I'm young again, and they're young, so I don't know if they technically respect me, but they treat me like I'm their brother almost, and I think that helps a lot with me building their respect for refs and for parents and for other players, and building that team chemistry.
of course. One thing that I do throughout the season, and this is kind of just it's gonna be, I do Saturday shoot around, so they always know that Saturdays, no matter what, pretty much is gonna be they're gonna get like 250 shots each. We'll split up into two groups of two, and I'll get them shots at the wing, shots at the in the corner, shots at the elbows, and we'll go shots from the top, and some of them will be shooting threes, just kind of in those areas. So I'd really try to get them, and then we'll do scrimmaging after or something like that.
Okay.
So they get those shots up, but that's like something that I like to do every once in a while. But it improves their shot. Does it improves their confidence, and then um, they should be shooting probably like 50% because no one's guarding them. But um, obviously, not all of them are doing that. So, like, we're trying to build up, and then I keep record of it, so they track everything. So that's what I do, and it just kind
Well,
of is fun
yeah. Well,
for
so
them.
since I'm coaching for a middle school, I don't really have a lot of time throughout the week.
Exactly.
We kind of only really practice 2 or 3 times a week, and one of those days is usually at games. We're not allowed to practice on the weekends, so it kind of sucks in the aspect that I can't sometimes do what I want to do because I'm just like, we got to get the plays in. People got to know the plays. But I do try to incorporate some of those shooting drills. We have a couple of shooting drills that we like, just a couple passes and then spot up shooting.
Yep.
It's a little bit hard, because we're not in the gym every single day going over different things. I mean, 2 days a week, I just have to pretty much go over plays, which is all right. But I mean, I wish they could get some more shots up. I try to make sure to tell them they get shots up at home. And then the scrimmaging aspect is also a big part too for me because they get to have some fun with doing that. We usually scrimmage the varsity team, so
Okay.
maybe like once or twice a week if there is time. But again,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a little bit harder with 2 to 3 times a week, not every day.
Yeah. I see. I know that. Like some schools are different, and so honestly, what I do is I do like toughness drills. They love those, especially the boys. Um, they like to get in like so I have a rebounding drill that they like to do. So I'll do that sometimes because they like to just beat up each other and
Yeah,
uh so that's a good one. I throw three people on there and then I shoot it and then they gotta go get the rebound, make it twice, and then they're off.
yeah,
So and then I do like other stuff like shell and stuff like that. And my kids like that, but some kids don't. And then I do transition stuff. So a lot of transition stuff will get them kind of active and going. So uh yeah, if it's like you have time like that or stuff like that. But that's usually what I do with my kids.
yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on to practice and player development. So what are your typical practices like for your team?
So usually we'll start out with a little kind of a stretch, a little dynamic stretch, nothing too serious or anything. That'll be probably 5 minutes, and then we'll usually go right into some cardio work, some sprints. I've kind of been toying with the idea of, instead of doing like sprints and suicides and stuff like that, kind of doing their conditioning with basketballs in their hands. So I've been kind of trying to do more 3-man weave, full court 3-man weaves, with as least amount of dribbles as possible. And if they make bad passes or if they miss layups, then we kind of just keep going until I feel like they, one, get tired, or two, they can do it consistently pretty well. After that, usually we'll get some water, and then we'll go into plays, depending on what, if I played the team that we're playing against that week, or if I know what they do, we'll go specific things for that. So like if a team runs 2-3 zone, we'll work on our 2-3 zone plays. If they run man, we'll work on our man plays. Usually I'll try to implement a motion, some sort of motion, just that way they get moving. We'll go over that. And then if we need to go over specific plays, we'll go over specific plays, kind of just run through them all again. Usually I'll do that every practice just so they can get it in their brains, because they are middle schoolers and they do forget stuff. So, and it takes some kids harder or longer to learn the plays than it does others. Some people can just get it really quick, and some people just they got to beat it into their brain. So I usually try to do that most every practice. And then the last little bit is when I was kind of saying we do those shooting drills, or we'll do some fun drill like that. Maybe a little bit of rebounding, maybe a little bit of shell. That's usually saved for the end practice or scrimmaging. If there's another team, if the varsity team's there, then we'll usually scrimmage. That way we can work on the plays that we just went over. And if I need to put anything new in, then we can work on that. And then depending on if there's another team there too, or if I have enough guys, we'll usually do some press with another team, or press and press break with another team if I can. It's all a little bit hard. It's a little bit hard for us to do press. I'm very iffy about running press, just because sometimes they don't know what they're doing, and it's harder to teach press because you have to cover the man and the space and the ball at the same time, kind of.
Yep.
And they don't really understand that most of the times, but also they're not quick enough. But if I get a super quick team and people know what they're doing, then I'll start setting some stuff up like that. But usually that's reserved for last case. And then very rarely we'll work on defense. Both me and my other coach, we expect you to be pretty fluent in man defense in 2-3, because that's what we play. If I want to implement like 1-3-1 zone, or like a 3-2 or a 1-2-2, then we'll work on that. But my players should all be able to know man and 2-3. That's what we tell them at tryouts.
Yep. Yeah, I run. Last year I ran a bunch of high level stuff because my kids were really good. This group that I have now, they're a little further behind, so I got to get them in shape. They're not making the times for, running and all that. So I've got to really break it down, and they got to really focus on their running during the summer. And that's kind of what I tell them is, hey, you guys got to work outside of practice. You can't just be working in here.
Yeah, that's
with
a big
me.
one.
And a lot of kids just don't do that. So I get it, but if you want to get better, you got to put in the work. You can't just expect everything to be overnight success.
Yeah, I mean, another kind of hard thing that we have is, again, the 2 to 3 times a week practices. Like I gotta get the plays, and maybe the press, the out of bounds plays. Like I gotta get those things in, and I gotta work on the stuff that us as a team needs. It's like it's kind of your job to go get your own shots up and work on your game outside of practice, because we just don't have enough time to be able to do that sort of thing. I mean, we practice an hour and a half twice a week, so
Yeah.
it's
So
it's,
one,
it's hard getting those kind of things in when I can't have multiple days. Now, if I had every day, it'd be a different story. But
oh yeah, yeah.
um,
One thing that I did when like at the beginning of pretty much every year, like after my first few years coaching, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna give you guys stuff right now in practice to do. Like you guys can do them at home. So I give them dribbling drills, stuff that they could do at home. Um, because some of the kids will just go home and not look anything up and on YouTube and do all that. But if you can find them good drills to do like that first, or I would do even that first week, just introduce some drills, hey, and make it a side note like, hey, you guys can do this at home. You guys have a basketball home, right? You guys can do this. Like, you don't need a basketball or a net or a rim to dribble. You can dribble at home. And I think that's one of the most, like, I almost forced that upon my kids. Like, you guys need to do this. This is something that is easy enough for you guys can work on at home.
it's just the hard part is getting them to actually do it,
Yep.
because they want to play video games or hang out with their friends. So
Yep. That is the hardest part because you can't control what they do.
that's when you
And
gotta that's when you gotta start talking to the parents.
yeah, I mean, I tell the parents, hey, I'm giving them stuff. If they want to do it, they can. If they don't want to do it, then they're not going to get better. And I just kind of leave it in their control. Like it's it's hard for me to, like, as a younger coach, when I was really young, I was like, why aren't you guys doing this? Like,
Want to?
what is your deal? Like, and then now I'm kind of more laid back now. Um, when yeah, from when I was a younger coach, I yelled a lot, like I did a lot of things that I shouldn't have. But now I'm kind of just like, hey, this is up to you. Like if you really want to get better, you have to put in the work. You have to do the little things, and then you'll see results eventually. You're not going to see them overnight. You're going to see them in a gradual state, um, and that's kind of how I approach it now because I will never be able to force them to do anything. So just I give them, hey, this is how you're going to get better. If you don't want to get better, then that's on you. And then if they don't make the team the next year, hey, I told you, this is what you could be doing.
Yeah, they gotta want it.
They
Sometimes they
have to
don't
want it.
also.
They they have to want it, and if they don't want it, that's completely up to them. So, how do you balance individual skill development and what your team needs?
So, kind of going off what we just talked about, um, I will try, if I can, I will try to get some of that individual shooting or some dribbling drills. Usually, I will do that all together as a team usually, but I really try to make sure that I can see each kid do what they're supposed to do. And if one's struggling on dribbling, then we'll work on some dribbling a little bit more. If someone's struggling on shooting, we'll work on some shooting. That goes the same with cuts or screens. I'd say sometimes I like to put multiple of those things together. So I'll run a couple drills usually to help, like 2-on-2 screens where our defense sheds the screen, get over the top of it, help drop back for your point guard, or help drop back for your guy that's guarding the point guard. And that way the point guard can work on dribbling and shooting at the same time when he reads the screen. My big man can roll and post up at the same time, and my defense gets work on guarding the pick and roll and deciding on if I'm going to help or not help, or if I'm going to hedge or not hedge. So I kind of combine some of those things usually, to try to do stuff like that, just because again I don't have a lot of time when we do. So if I do that, it's usually two or three things combined. I'll do a lot of we do this one drill. It's I don't even know what I call it, but it's you kind of set up in shell drill, but there's no defense, and I'll have 2 basketballs going up at the top of the keys. They'll take a couple dribbles, attack the paint, get all the way to the paint, kick out to the corner. Then they'll pass it around, cut, and then they'll do the same thing back at the top. That way they just attacking downhill, dribbling with their heads up, making good passes. And then after we do that for a little bit, then we'll start shooting, doing that off of shooting. We'll cut out the other 2 lines, and then we'll do spot up shooting from there. So I think it's just, again, it's hard not having a lot of time during the week to have those practices just because they're in middle school. But those are a few things that I'll try to do every so often just to get individual skills up, but also, you get a little bit comfortable with your teammates. You figure out how they pass the ball, how they want to catch it when they shoot, what they're going to do on defense, how to read people on defense, if they're going to roll or not. So those sort of things.
Yeah. It's I like what you said. I do it a lot too, where you stack 2 to 3 set skills and you're just going in one drill, like you can stack that. And I like that because it's more realistic.
Yeah.
And it's more
like a game too.
Yeah,
like during
it is. It's like a game. One of the things that I did, and it put a lot of pressure on my kids last year to make decisions because it was only a game to 2 points. So you're playing, or 2 buckets. So they had to make 2 buckets. And the first one to make 2 buckets was the winner. And then they'd have to shoot a free throw to seal the win. So I would do that a lot last year because I could just say, hey, you're going to run this play or this set, this offense, whatever it was. And you guys are going to be playing it man defense, 2-3 zone, 1-3-1, whatever it was. And it worked on all of our stuff. You could stop it after the game and say, hey, this is what you guys are good at. This is what you guys need some work at. And then go from there. So I like that because it made it short little scrimmages that were controllable.
Yeah, I agree.
So what is your favorite drill? What is your favorite drill?
My favorite drill. I do like 3-man weave. That gets them cardio, their passes down, and their layups. It's because they're in middle school and sometimes they have a problem with making layups. That also helps them if they're right-handed, use their left hands. You got to get on them about using their left hands. If they're left-handed, you got to get on them about using their right hands. So that's probably my favorite. There's a couple of shooting drills that we do that I think they enjoy. They're not my favorite, but they get to. So you start on the baseline. You have one line on the baseline, near the paint. You have a line in the corner, or you have a guy in the corner, and you have a guy at free throw line extended. We'll do pass the guy in the corner, pass the guy at the top. He'll shoot it, and you just keep going that until we make 15. Kids really like that drill just because they get their shots up. And I like it for them just so it helps them. But I either say 3-man weave. I do like shell. Shell's hard though because I don't know if boxing out exists anymore.
It doesn't.
It's a lost art. But if I can get them to box out, then we'll do shell a lot, and I do like shell. But I'd say those 3 things are probably at the top of my list.
Yeah, you have to really force people to box out now.
I know it's so annoying because at this point if I'm playing man or 2-3 defense, at this point I say if you're not going to get a defensive rebound, then you're not going to play because we cannot be able to give up offensive rebounds to people. And it's really annoying when there's one guy down there and I have 3 guys down there and they're not boxing out. They're just trying to jump, try to get the ball off the rim. It's like, you're not going to be able to jump that high. So you got to be able to box out. But they still don't do that. So that's why I'm just sending my entire defense, which kind of kills my transition. But I'd rather secure the rebound than give up points.
Yeah. All right. So what offensive system do you run and why does it work for your team? So you can kind of go man or 2-3 or both, whatever.
So I'll start in man. 2-3 is pretty much the same for me for the past couple of years. I've changed my offense every season that I've coached, and I will have to change it again this year just because of my team composition. Last year, I ran a lot of 2 big stuff, horns kind of sets, and some cuts off of – what do you call those? I guess it'd be kind of UCLA cuts and back cuts. I will not be able to do that this year, so I'm going to have to change probably to a 4-out. I've been watching some old Jay Wright stuff when he was at Villanova that they have a good 4-out motion offense, which is most likely what I'm going to run this year just because I do not have a lot of big men. I have like 2, and they're not even really big men. They're just bigger than everybody else. So that will be a little bit of a struggle this year. And in the past, I didn't really have that problem. The first year I did it, I kind of did 4-out, but that was mainly just a ball screen. And I've learned from then that, again, I can't have people sitting in corners because then they don't do anything and then they don't know how to move. If I can't set up a play for them to move, then they won't move. So I think this year it'll be more of a 4-out situation, maybe even 5-out, where they have to move in a motion to be able to get involved instead of just chilling in the corner or chilling at the top of the key or the post. So I'll have to change again this year. Probably run something like the Villanova offense back in the day, or maybe something like I really like the Celtics 5-out that they run this year with the high ball screen that they'll run. So I might do something like that. My 2-3 zone or zone in general is pretty easy for us. We just kind of stick a guy in the middle who's a little bit bigger and he can make decisions. So we'll put him at the free throw line extended. He'll move from free throw line to free throw line. He can come out a little bit. And then our main goal is either try to get a 3 in the pockets of the 2-3 or try to get it down to the dunker spot for an easy layup. And usually I have a couple like quick hitters out of a 2-3 that I'll sometimes run. Those rarely change just because zones. So, I mean, zone doesn't change. It's been the same for forever. But and I can do all those things no matter how big or how small you are. So.
Yeah, I have like a few offenses that I've kind of used. Some I use a 5-out. It's the circle motion. So I use that sometimes. And I get a lot of action out of that. That's kind of high level stuff. So if I have a higher level like IQ team, I can do that. If I don't, it's kind of I do ball screens, so I have a lot of ball screen offenses that I can kind of throw in there. Where they come off a screen and they'll replace themselves where they were. And then it's basically I want them to touch the paint in that offense. Yeah. Touch the paint. If you can get a layup, you can. If you have a pass to the big, you can pass to the big. So this year is going to be kind of interesting because I don't really have a tall person. Last year I had a tall person, I had like 4 or 5 tall people. So it'll be an interesting thing to figure out because I'm kind of in a I need to figure this out kind of stage right now.
I'm kind of in the same spot as well.
So I'm always looking up stuff. I'm always watching what other people do.
Yeah.
But
I was looking up. So I also coached AAU, and I tried doing that 2016, 2017 Villanova offense when they had like Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Dante DiVincenzo. When they had those guys, because they had a lot of guys that could attack and shoot, and I sort of have that this year. So I think that would really help. But I mean, it's hard when I don't have a lot of post players. I can't do horns. Or the horn set's like one of my favorite plays, and I get a lot of really good stuff out of that too. But it's just hard because I won't have a second or third big guy to rotate in when foul trouble or someone gets tired. So
yeah, I could see that. That's kind of yeah. I had that problem, or I'm having that problem this summer too, because I'm coaching my guys, and I'm like, okay, like I don't really have a big. I have one big that's like 6'2", and that's not even that big.
yeah, that's a
So
guard.
yeah, so well, I'm just trying to be like, okay, like we'll figure it out. Like I want you guys to run. Sometimes it's like just a fluid offense. You guys got to cut off each
Small
other.
gun.
Yep. Got to cut off each other. Got to move. Got to attack. Um, so I'm working on that stuff, the cutting stuff and all that, because that's how it has to be for this group, and they got to learn how to cut and learn how to do all that. So I'm really
Old
stressing
small
that.
ball.
Yep, small ball.
Hello, Coach. Thank you for watching the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, go check out Underdog Hoops University. Get a 14-day free trial. It's $14.99 after that. As of right now, it may be higher as you're watching it later, but go check it out, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.